Hello and welcome out to this episode of Outbreak Gamers. I am your host, WEBDAVE, David Anthony, and all that kind of good stuff. And I have a very special guest with me today. I'm so excited. Pong Soul. What's up, buddy?
Dave, thank you so much for having me. Look, it's an honor to be here. It truly is. I don't take any of these invites for granted. So the fact that you even considered me to bring me on, I know I watched your interview with Boom, and then you just did one with Mav. You got Kay Asante coming. I mean, just
Yep.
fantastic people in this community, people that I work with, and honestly, again, it's just a pleasure to be here. So thank you for having me. I love coming on these types of shows and just talking. So let's
Well,
do
thank you, man.
this.
I really
Yeah.
appreciate that. When Boom had to be my first one because he's the one that really kind of got me fired up to try and do this series. You know what I mean? I was like,
Yeah.
I'm having fun. That's all that matters. We'll just go from there. But I thought, let's try it out with Boom. And he was so gracious and so nice and so giving an interview. And then after we talked maybe 15, 20 minutes after we were done,
Yep.
and he's like, who you got lined up next? And I said, well, thought about asking. He said, well, you need to ask Mav. You need to ask Pong Soul. You need, and he just started going through the list, and I was just like, all right, cool. He'll see, oh yeah, give them all. I'll let them know if they have questions. That how much fun this was. I was like, cool, man. I really appreciate that. So
Boom's amazing. Boom is one of the
is.
great ones in this community, and again, he's given so many people a chance, a shot, whatever the case may be. A lot of credit goes to him. I know he doesn't like to take any of it because that's just the type of dude that he is. But he really does. He's a giving guy, and he gives back to this community so much. So I love the man. He's a brother for sure. So
It really is. I mean, great personality. But I tell you, let's talk about you. Hey, this episode. In fact, let me get the banner going. Here, I got to talking and I forgot to start it. There we go. That way, there's a little more information all through the show, so people can find out exactly where to reach and everything too. So yeah. There you go. Or you can go to my website, outbreakpodcast.com, and subscribe to this channel to get more and more updates. We're going to do a ton on this series. I'm telling you.
awesome.
I got a bunch of people lined up, but Pong. So let's I like to start off with kind of like how you got into gaming. I mean, it was someday you were just like, I'm playing baseball. I'm tired of that. Let's, what was it, man?
No, I've told this story plenty of times now. This is a great story. This is one of my favorites. This is a part of why I have my name as Pong Soul, right? Because I started all the way back with Pong, and some of my earliest memories are playing Pong with my grandpa and my dad. I used to obviously my dad would come pick me up on the weekends, and we'd go over to my grandparents' house a lot of the time, and my grandpa had a actual Pong console there, one with the two paddles and everything else hooked up to like 11, 12, 13-inch black and white, so, and that's what we did. We did lots of things, of course, fishing and all that kind of stuff, but we always wound up in the bedroom every once in a while playing Pong. And those are some of my earliest memories. I lost my grandpa when I was super young. I believe he passed away when I was like 7 or 8. So I don't have a lot, right? But some of those are simply sitting there playing Pong with him. And so, I started from the get-go. I have never had a break from gaming. I have been here through every generation. I haven't owned every single console. Like the 3DO was like $1,000. Like I didn't do that. Like some people in this community really have honestly owned every single system. I can't say that, but I've been around through everything, and video games have been with me from the beginning. Good times, bad times, and everything in between. They've always been there. It's just a relaxing hobby for me that I just enjoy and have had a passion for a very long time, starting with Pong. So that's where it began, man.
Yeah, I love that game too, man. It's they're like, it's simplistic, but you know what? I mean, at the time it was like, wow, when it first came out, that was like, what is this?
Yeah, you can't explain that. You can't explain that to generations now, right? The younger have zero clue. I mean, even them looking at like Nintendo games sometimes is like, you guys actually played this garbage? Yeah, we did, and we actually loved it. It was fun. And it's the same for Pong. It was so different. We didn't. That's the first interactive stuff that we had, like in our home, really. Like that. Again, TV was just watching, radio's just listening. But man, Pong was something you could do on your TV screen. It was crazy. It was crazy. It was so cool.
Yeah, and what you did, I mean, you caused you to win or lose. I mean, it was
Yep.
if you didn't, react or whatever, you lost. Oh, wait, well, I'm gonna try this again,
Right.
kind of thing. And one of these days we'll all look back, including you. Someday you'll get old. Not anytime soon,
I
though.
am old. I am old, sir.
Whatever. But anyway,
Sir, I started on Pong. Come on now, let's go.
well, I started Atari 2600, so the day it came out. So
Yeah.
we'll go from there. Yeah. So yeah. Well, you look young. How's that? Good for
Thank
you.
you.
And you got me there too. Ooh.
Yeah,
But,
mine's thinning pretty bad. We're getting there.
That's all right. That's all right. But one of these days, we'll be looking at the younger kids and be like, back in my day, we had it. And it's like, and if it wasn't for these games, you wouldn't have anything you have now. So
Correct. When we're all strapped into our VR in the metaverse, living separate lives, never to return to the real life. That's where we're going to be at.
I hope it doesn't quite go that far.
I say I'm ready. I said that's
Yeah.
like that. I'm not a VR guy, so I always say once you can strap me in, hook up an IV, keep my body alive, but I can go relive my 20s. I'm in. I'm all in. Put me there. I'm down. Let's do this.
Yeah.
I'll be a guinea pig. I don't care.
Yeah, well, my son's into VR a lot. He has the full setup to where it's all wireless. He's even got the the gloves that have the sensors in them and stuff.
Yep.
He doesn't have the running pad or any of that kind of stuff, which I know that kind of stuff is out there.
It is.
But yeah, he gets into that. I mean, he doesn't play it all the time, but he does. He's like, yeah, I got a portable unit. I'll bring it to the house. I was like, don't bother. It's okay. I know you're into it, but I've played VR a little bit, and there'll be some things I want to check out, but I definitely wouldn't want to just jump in and just be,
Full-time.
yeah.
No,
It's just
no
but
thanks.
man, so
Not right
many
now.
great games and stuff out there. I love it. So there you go. So you started off with Pong, which
Yep.
is commendable. Very cool. Very cool. So I guess what kind of jobs have you had in your career? I mean, like I know some people
Yeah.
start off as
So
boys and such. So
yeah, no, I've been in finance and sales almost my entire life. So I've
wow.
been dealing with people like one-on-one in person. My first job was actually at a license bureau for like car tabs and driver's licenses. So I started there. So I was dealing with people one-on-one when I was 15. So that's like where I started. So I've always been in sales, finance, that kind of atmosphere. I had a job at Funkoland at one point back in the day
Nice.
before it became GameStop. Again, I'm up in Minnesota, so Funkoland was the home. It was the home of Funkoland.
Yeah.
Got to meet the owner and all that kind of stuff back in the day. And so, yeah, no, I did do stuff like that as well. But yeah, finance and sales is pretty much my entire background. I've had some other oddball jobs thrown in there every once in a while, but that's my forte.
Well, that's awesome. That is really awesome. So I guess you're do you do dabble in like taxes and that kind of stuff too, or is it just the finance as far as like
Finances,
budgeting?
loans, and that kind of stuff on that side of the spectrum. That's where a lot of my history is at. Probably almost 24 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I currently work for U.S. Bank, but on work from home, thank goodness, and I actually work in the mortgage department. So
Okay. Yep.
so that's
Been there too.
kind of my thing. Yeah. Luckily, I got to where I'm working with the VA a lot, helping basically do workarounds and workouts so that there's some veterans out there that need help sometimes, and we want to make sure they keep them in their home, and if at all possible, that's what we do. So that's
it's nice. It's nice when you get into a job, even if it has to do with stuff that's kind of it's tough. Financial stuff is tough no matter what, but when you can help somebody, it makes it more rewarding. And so that's what I've always looked for too. It hasn't always worked out that way, but I've certainly looked for it. So yeah.
Right. Well, let me ask you, I guess, so how did you get into the gaming community? I mean,
oh boy.
This should be a good one. We'll take your time. We have plenty of time.
Yeah. I was gonna say, how long do you have? You've seen some of my shows, right, Dave?
We can go as long as you want, buddy.
Yeah,
we can go as long as you want.
Look, so I started. Okay, let's go back before I even jumped into this community.
Sure.
I am one of those old guys who looked at YouTube and Twitch and all that kind of stuff. Watched my kids you know, play games and watch people play games. And I was like, why are you watching people talk about games or play games? This is ridiculous, right? Of course, now hindsight being 2020, I'm like, I'm an idiot. It's another opportunity that I missed. I could jump in this a long time ago. But at the time, I was just like, this doesn't make any sense. I just want to play games. I don't want to listen to people talk about games, yada, yada, yada. So I never was on YouTube. I was on Twitter. I had a whole separate Twitter life at that point. And so really it started at the beginning of the pandemic. And
Yep.
what happened was that work slowed down to a crawl, obviously. Everybody was stuck at home. There was nothing to do. I still luckily, thankfully, got to keep my position, and they only kept a couple of us on, and I was one of them. So I did work through the pandemic. However, there was just days upon days, hours upon hours with nothing, right? And it wasn't, there was nothing to do. So the new systems were coming. And so I decided, I've been following the industry for a long time, but I always hit the mainstream stuff, the IGNs, all that kind of stuff for a long time. But I want to hear, I was trying to find more information. And so Twitter, in my other Twitter life, which is now gone and burnt and deleted, I found myself just, I was into a bunch of different things over there, and just with society in general and where everything was at, I found myself getting really negative. Right. And so I was like, even my wife started commenting on it because I was on it all day at work because again, I didn't have anything to do. So I was like, okay. I said enough's enough. I saw it myself, and I was like, because I'm a big energy guy. And so when I started really feeling it and seeing it myself, I was like, all right, something's got to change. I'm like, I can't do this all day, every day. If I'm going to be doing this all day, my dog, she is so upset right now. She hates me podcasting. She wants to just cuddle with me. So she's messing around with stuff.
Well, you can have her in your lap if you want to, buddy. That's not a problem.
No, she's about 100. She's about 100 pounds. We ain't putting her.
Maybe not. Well, if you need to give her some attention, it's okay.
No, that's okay. She'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I started seeing that negativity and it was really starting to weigh on me, I was like, okay, I'm done. I need to go find something different. So I started looking on Twitter for gaming. Right. And I was like, okay, I just need to I want to go find some information about it. I want to find out what people are saying about the new consoles, all that kind of stuff. I've been on Twitter since almost day one. So I really knew how to dig in, and I was like, okay, came across this whole community of people who were just as passionate as me about video gaming, which I have not known in my life. I've been a lone wolf. Now I've had friends that gamed,
right.
But never to my extent, right? Never took it like I did, right? Never had that as a part of them as long as I did, and never really took it that serious. And so, they've come and gone, and, life happens, you get married, kids, all that kind of stuff. And you lose track of people, right? And I was never, because I grew up when I did not get into the online. Now I played a lot of multiplayer like Battlefield and those kind of games. I did do that, but I was lone wolfing. I wasn't teaming up with people. I wasn't meeting people online. I wasn't doing any of that stuff. I was playing by myself with randoms. So I'm a lone wolf guy, but I didn't know that there was this whole gigantic place in Twitter where all these people felt the same way I did about video games. And so I found it. And I found like RDX, obviously Dealer and those guys over there, just absolutely fantastic. Started listening to them because they were talking about the new consoles constantly, obviously. I found a bunch of different people like Iron Lords, found eventually Mr. Boomstick. I found all these people, right? And so I just started hanging out in the chats. Now they won't know it. I've told them all, but I was hanging out in the chats underneath my old Twitter profile for a while. And then, like I said, once I got into it, and I was watching videos, and I'm like, okay, this is sweet. I can just sit here on podcasts all day. I can watch these people. I was in the chats. I was talking. I was throwing out views, ideas. I was starting to meet people in the chat. We were having a good time. And then I burnt down my old Twitter and started a new one and came up with Pong Soul. And ever since then, I was in the chats. I had no plans of podcasting ever. I was like, never, ever. I was just in the chats, but I was always, again, I had all the time in the world on my hands. So I was retweeting everybody. I was supporting everybody. I was out there. So people start getting to know me, right? And I'd show up in chats, and everybody's like, hey, Pong, how you doing? Blah, 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 and that kind of stuff. And that's just where I began, was right there. And then really what happened was that I got to know the guys over at Retro Renegades, Graphic God, Jay, Infinite, obviously, Renegade himself over there as well. And, all those guys really, I just had a good time in their chats because Jay stays away from, hey, we're doing a show, we're doing a podcast. It's a bunch of guys getting
Right.
around, BS, and having a good time. Is all it is.
Yeah.
Games and brews, and that's it, right? And they're talking all
Right.
sorts of nonsense, right? So it's just relaxed, fun time. So I got to know them, and Jay hit me up in the DMs one day, and he was like, hey, seen you around. You've been supporting us a lot. Love to have you on the show if you want to come on. And I was like, oh, man. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to jump into this. And next thing I knew, I thought about it for a while. I'm like, why not? I'll do one. It's not a structured show. It's nothing. I'm just gonna go talk to these guys and have a good time. I like them all. Crispy Bomb, all those guys were there, right? And I was just like, just go have fun. So I brought my Surface Pro 4 in, brought my Astro A50s in, and hooked them up at work because I was the only one in the office, right?
Yeah,
the only one in the office, and hopped on with them on a Tuesday night, and that was it. I had a great time. They were awesome. They were all super nice to me. Had some good conversations. We had some fun conversations. They all said, hey, you sound great. You do well. You should do this. And I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do this. This is a one-time deal. And Jay's like, well, you can come back on Retro Renegades anytime you want to. I'm like, thank you for the invite, but this was fun. But this is it, right?
Yeah.
So got off. I thought to myself, boy, that was really fun. Blah, blah, blah. And like I was telling you backstage, before all of this, when I was back decades ago, when I was going to go to college, I was going to go to college for broadcasting and journalism, and it was sports. I wanted to be on ESPN, plain and simple. So I loved everything they did. Used to watch them nonstop. Used to, talk sports all the time with people. As a big sports guy for a long, long time. And so that was my dream. And so I got off and I started thinking about it. I'm like, just had a great time. That was fun. And somewhere in that subconscious, there was that itch, right? That came back again. And I didn't do anything about it. And then the Flamish experience, he hit me up and said, hey, you were at Retro Renegade. He's super nice kid.
Yeah.
And he does a random show on Sundays. Like back in the day, he was doing a little bit more, but now he's got a girlfriend. He's getting married. So things get crazy, obviously, as we know when we're younger. So, but he invited me on his show, and his show was more relaxed too. So I popped on with them. I said, you know what, let's do this. And that was right at the end of 2020. That was December, that kind of all this, I think it was Retro Renegades was December. And then Flamish's experience was right in January. So I did Flamish's experience and just had a ball again. And from that point on, I was like, okay, if somebody asks me, I'll do this. And Flamish actually hit me up and said, hey, would you like to do this on an every Sunday kind of deal? And I'm like, yeah, let's talk about it. I'm like, maybe I might be interested in doing that. And he's like, great. Well, then Flamish wound up taking time off. So he went away for a while. And so we never followed up with that. And so I was sitting around, whatever else. And I started, and then I had, during this whole time, I had been in Mavs chat, Fun Speculation. Shout out to my brother from another. And I've been conversating with him and Xbox Ultimate and all that kind of stuff. And he was starting all this, he was starting his whole deal. And so I got to know him. And so I think what had happened, and also 3-Bit was doing his channel. I was in their chat with him. And then I think that I went on as a guest appearance next on Xbox Ultimate. And just kind of guest appearance, showed up one night, and Mav asked me on and went on. Again, just a great time. Still rocking out with my Astro A50s, and all that kind of stuff, nice. and so doing that kind of stuff. And then really the beginning was that 3-Bit, as I got to know 3-Bit was going to have me on his show, but he's so busy all the dang time that he kind of drifted away from his show. But PTK Blam, who does the Shop podcast on Saturday nights that I'm a member of, he had put out a tweet asking suggestions from the community of who should he have on as a guest. And PTK, of course, I didn't know at the time, but PTK has been doing it for 5 years plus now at this point. I mean, he's been doing this for a long time, but he does bring people on, and he has a guest almost every week. Well, 3-Bit hit him up. Without asking me, he just hit him up and said, hey, you need to have, he posted it publicly. So I saw it, but he's like, hey, you should have PONG SOUL on. And underneath I said, thanks 3-bit, that's really, awesome of you, man, but whatever. Next thing I know, I'm getting a DM from PTK saying, hey, you want to come on? I'm like, oh boy, it's kind of, I went back through PTK's history and I'm like, man, this man's been doing it for a while. I'm like, this is going to be like kind of big time here. I'm like, all right, well, I'm like, why not? I said, I'm interested in doing this. So let's give it a go. So I got on PTK's show, had an absolutely just blast. Like, it was so good. PTK is such a great host that everything went smooth. He rolls out the red carpet, just super nice. Everybody on there was just amazing. And I had great conversations. I don't even remember what we were discussing that week, but we just had some great conversations. Everything was flowing that night, right? It just felt natural, and it was just good.
Yeah.
Right after we got done with the show, PTK hits me up, and he says, hey, my wife was listening to the show tonight, and both her and I agree that you were absolutely incredible. And again, I'm like, oh, come on, knock it off, right? I'm my own worst critic, so I'll never think that. I'm like, whatever, that was terrible. And I said it felt good, but I said it was terrible. Come on. I had terrible takes. It was not good. And he's like, no. He's like, so I'm thinking about this. And he's like, would you like to join the panel full time? And I'm like, what? I've been on your show once. This is like my 4th time podcasting, baby. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you sure? I'm like, are you serious? And he's like, yeah, would you be interested in doing it every Saturday night? And I said, yeah. I said, I probably would be. I said, I talked to the wife real quick and make sure we're all good and that we're not going to have any issues and all that kind of stuff. And he's like, all right. He goes, let me think on it. He goes, I'm going to sleep on it. He goes, but you go talk. And he goes, and we'll talk again. Sure enough, next day he hit me up and he said, yeah, would you like to do it? I said, yeah. So that started. Then nice. I had Mav. I had no idea. Mav and Caitlin had been talking about asking me on Xbox Ultimate to join them.
Nice.
Because I had, I had guested, but we had been talking and I had gone in and being he used to do after hours gaming after Xbox Ultimate all the time. Well, I was playing with them all the time. So we got to know each other. Yeah, everybody in that crew is such family. It's just so much fun. And I didn't know that like the same time, like PTK announced it. And also I got Mav in my DMs going, God dang it, man. I was just about to ask you. Caitlin and I were just talking in the drive-thru at McDonald's, and we were going to ask you to join Xbox Ultimate on Friday nights. And I'm like, you were? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, sign me up. Let's do it. He's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, sign me up. Let's do it. I said, why not? Friday nights. I said, it's pandemic. There's nothing to do. The wife and I are empty nesters at this point.
Right.
So we got the dogs, right? Those are our kids. So it's like, sure, why not? We're not going anywhere. We don't have anything to do. Friday nights, why not? Book me. He's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. So that started that. And then right after that, after I did Xbox Ultimate for a few weeks, Dan the Man Cunningham, another great member. You'll see him in chats from time to time. He's always there working. Yeah, but Dan the Man Cunningham and I had gotten to know each other through Boom's chats. Well, Boom, I don't think Boom had just tweeted out one of his shows, and Dan the Man Cunningham was in his tweets going, Boom, you should have Pong Soul on. And now I'm like, yo, now this is Boom show. I'm like, okay, this is like 300, 400, 500 people at a time. What? I'm like, okay, now we're getting crazy. I'm like, what? Dan, thank you. But no. And at that time, I didn't know how much Boom, I had heard him speak about it and whatever else. But I didn't know how serious he was about giving back to the community and how many actual people that he was bringing on new. I had seen his regular panels constantly, but all those people had been in this community for a very long time, so I just didn't know how that was. But sure enough, Boom hits me up. And then I started guesting on Boom's show. I did his whole circuit within a matter of about a month. And Boom and I got to know each other really well. And then Boom's like, I'd like you to join Xbox Factor on Tuesdays. And I'm like, that's Tuesday mornings. I'm supposed to be in the office, but I'm like, I could probably tell them that I need a late start schedule. I'm like, all right, Boom, let's do it. I'm having so much fun. Let's do this. He's awesome. Like, really? He's like, you already have 2 other shows. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I'm fine. I'm good. And he's like, I don't want you to burn out. And I said, Boom, I'll join you. So join the Xbox Factor podcast. And that's kind of how it's gone from there. Like I said, it's been crazy. This whole time I got to know Steel was jumping in games with us. He was in the chats. And so I got to know Steel. And every time Steel and I were talking, sometimes you just feel like you know somebody for a long time,
Yeah,
even if you
yeah.
haven't. You just got that natural. That's the way it was with
Mhm.
me and Mav too. Mav and I clicked right away.
Oh, yeah.
Steel and I clicked. And I love Steele's attitude. Now there's a big generation gap between Steel and I, right? We've got about 17 years. So, that's not always normal, but he's an older
Right.
soul. You
Yeah.
find those older souls too. So he thinks a little bit differently than some of people his age. But he and I just hit it off. And then I was thinking I was having such a great time. And I'm like, I want my own show. I want to do my own thing. I want to have a chance to really talk about what I want to talk about all the time. I love going on everybody else's show, but I really
Sure.
kind of want to have that show where I can make it my own, right? With
Right.
somebody.
Mhm.
And I right away I knew. I said, I'm not going to have a 3-4 person panel. I just want 2 people conversate. I'm like, who am I going to do it with it? I was sitting at work. Instantaneously, Steele's name popped in my head. Now, Steele and I hadn't talked about this, none of that stuff. We had never even approached
Wow.
this subject. So I hit him up in the DMs. I said, Steele, I got something to ask you. And I said, I've been thinking. And he hits me back and he's like, what? And I'm like, hey, I said, thinking about doing a show and was curious if you want to do a show with me. And he's like, are you serious? And I said, yeah. And he goes, really? And I said, yes. I said, that's what I've been thinking about. And, we started chatting about it. He's like, yeah, I'm down if we can find a time. He's like, me and my brother used to do one. And he's like, we don't do it anymore. He goes, and I kind of miss it. He's like, real life, I'm really busy. So I don't have, I got kids, I got the wife, I've got all this stuff
Right.
going on. I said, no, I totally get it. I said, let's try to figure out a time and let's talk about this and see if this is something to get down to or not. And he's like, yeah, let's talk some more. Let's see how we conversate outside of a game and go from there, whatever else. So we did that and both agreed that definitely felt the same way, that we'd have good chemistry. His energy is like mine, off the charts at points. I mean, Steele's my
Yep.
hype man. Like, I think
Yep.
I bring good energy, but Steele's on a whole nother level. But we also have different perspectives with the age gap. He
Right.
was a multiplayer gamer almost his entire life, where I was the lone wolf. So we bring different perspectives there. We agree on a lot of stuff, but at the same time, there's a lot there. Plus, we bounce off of each other very well, much like you see me and Mav do on PM and the PM. So we decided, him and Hod spoke for about a month, and next thing you knew, we had living split screen, and the rest is history. We're now coming up on 44 episodes, and
that's fantastic.
Every Saturday morning is something that I pop out of bed for. And it's something that I look forward to every week. I love all my shows. All my people are extended family. Steele and I he's my brother from another. Like I said, like Mav, it's just special. Like PM and the PM on Thursday night, those one-on-one conversations with somebody when you can deep dive and really talk about something.
Yeah,
man, that's what I live for. I love that stuff. So as you can tell,
Yeah.
now that I've given you 20 minutes of history of how I just simply joined this community. So you ask one simple question, there you go. But
There you go.
there you go. You got the whole history.
Well, I love it, man. I love it. And I tell you, you were talking about your chemistry with these people, and to be honest, when I first started watching your shows and catching you with Mav, and then Mr. Boomstick, and then some of the shows and stuff, and then going back and starting going, well, that Mav and that Pong, they said they have a show together. Let me find that. Let me watch that. And honestly, dude, I would think that you guys have known each other for 10 years.
Yep.
I mean, that's the way you guys come across. And same way with Still Rain. I mean, you're right. Sometimes he is on fire.
Yeah,
You're like, wow, man, you're lucky to get a word in, but this is a good thing. That's not, but you know what I mean? I mean, because it's very passionate and it shows on both of you. So, but yeah, it's like I said, you really feel like, that you, well, you can tell your sincerity and your honesty that you enjoy gaming, you enjoy this community, and God knows we all need something that's, with everything that's been going on. Hopefully, things will be getting better for everyone.
We continue to hope.
But no, it definitely. Okay, Sorry about that. Hit
No,
the
no worries.
wrong button. I don't want to hit this button.
That's what she said.
But anyway, so
no, it is important to your point. The chemistry thing is a huge thing, and that's what's been crazy is these people that I've met that I never in my life would have had the opportunity to meet, sometimes across the world, like Boxenberger and stuff in Germany, just Wandering Dutch and the whole crew over at Midweek Mix-Up Collective, and those guys brought me and Steel into their Midweek Mix-Up Collective to help support us as well. Like Wandering Dutch is all the way across the other side of the globe, basically. It's stuff like that, and then to meet people like Mav and Steel, two guys who I consider my friends. They are two of my best friends that I have in real life, and that's crazy as it sounds, but that instant connection just with video games has turned into more. We don't just have that connection there. We talk about real life stuff, all that kind of stuff that comes along with real friendship. And like you said, when you hear us and you see us, that we are being truthful, that we are who we are on camera. This is not fake. Like Steel and I always talk about, go back and watch any of our living split screen. We do 3 hours plus every Saturday. You can't fake 3 hours plus for 44 episodes without people going, yeah, no, I could see right through you guys. No. This is what you get.
They've repeated this in the last couple episodes, or that kind of thing.
Or you're just totally putting on an act. You can't look unless I'm a really great actor and I missed an opportunity in my life at some point. 4 hours last week, almost 4.5 hours last weekend.
Wow.
No. I'd slip up every once in a while, and it doesn't happen because that's who we are. We feel passionately about this industry. We feel passionately about this community, and we enjoy talking. Again, some people call that a fault. You like the sound of your own voice. Hey, I don't deny it. It is what it is. But yeah, we got a lot to say, so we do. But
and I think it's great. And I, for one, enjoy listening to you guys and communicating with you guys. It's I reached out to you and you were within minutes. We're like, sign me up. Let's do this. What are you available? I'm like, oh, cool. It was great. So, and that, that's, I'm really interested in really enjoying the community. And I think, with this little series that I'm doing, that I'm going to be able to get to know more of you even better, which will be fun, So like I said, I call it selfish, really, because it's like, I want to get to know more about these people, but I really do feel that there are a lot of other people that listen to these shows and podcasts that are like, they want to know the same thing. They're like, what? Yeah, how did he get started? Or whether it be for their own adventure, or whether it be just for just because that Pong guy, he's pretty cool. You know what I mean? So there you go. So
yeah, no, I agree with you because I thought the same thing when I started learning about community members, and again, podcasts have just exploded since especially since the pandemic. You got so many different choices out there, right? But to find out how much talent is just sitting out there in the community of people who really know what they're talking about, who really love it and have a great presentation, it's incredible to see some of the new people jumping on the scene. And I consider myself new still to this day. Just to see that happening and the popularity and the guys who have been around and put in the work now finally getting the credit that they deserve, and those numbers starting to really pick up. And again, it's not about the numbers. I would talk if there was 2 people in the chat. I don't care. Steel and I are just talking, right? We could do that on Xbox Live, but we're doing it. Maybe somebody's interested. So when I see 50 people show up in my chat and I think about a theater with 50 people sitting there, honestly interested in what I'm saying or what Steel's saying, that still blows my mind away. Right. And then something like RDX, 1,200, 1,500 people, like, that is like crazy to me that there's that many people that want to sit and listen to this stuff, but it's amazing. But again, I would just talk about it because I would find people like Mav, I would find people like yourself or Steel and talk about video games because that's what we love. And I would do this anyways. We do it. You've probably seen Mav when he's streaming, and we'll sit there and we're not necessarily talking about the game. We'll be talking about news. We'll be talking about video games because that's what we love, we'll go left a lot too, but we do generally like to talk about video games.
Well, there was one night, this is maybe a month and a half ago, I guess, that I was going to, got like a little time. I'm going to go sit down. I'm going to get some new things downloaded on Game Pass. I'm going to play, the notification. It was like, Mav's playing something on. Well, let's turn it over to YouTube, see what he's playing. And then you were there, and a couple other there. I was like, oh, that's cool, And like 2 hours later, my wife walks in. She goes, I thought you were gonna play games. I was like, shh, shh. I'm watching this show. I mean,
Yeah, it's a show.
that's what it felt like, and when like I said, I've said it on other podcasts as well too, like, I don't know, 5-10 years ago, my son, like when I was growing up, it would like, come home from school, middle school or whatever, and be like, flip on the TV and watch, whatever, for him, it would be Power Rangers. He'd kill me for saying that. But for me, it was like Ultraman and, and stuff like that, or, Battle for the Planets. Ooh, cool. That was awesome, and then, but, but then as he, was in middle school and, became, in college or not college, but high school and stuff like that, it's like, oh, what are you watching? We're watching a movie. And you're like, yeah, like, no, I got to watch him YouTube channel. What? For hours on end, them playing and talking and stuff. Exactly. What that seems so boring, so stupid. And now I'm like, this is great. Watch my show.
Yep, exactly. Like I said, missed opportunity. I kick myself all the time. I've missed a lot in my life, and this was one of them. I was like, dang.
Well, man, maybe because you were talking about one time you wanted to be a sports, caster, Yep. Esports. That's all I'm saying.
No, I would have done fantasy football. I would if I had done it right, I would have been all up in that. And I would have. I know where I could have been had I actually pursued that, but I just missed opportunity. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, well, I had an opportunity myself, a small one, because I live here in Kentucky and family and everybody's here, so like I'm not really gonna move far, because it's just we're roots established kind of thing. But but when I was thinking about going to GameStop because it was much better money, a promoter that said, I got an application for you. There's a radio station and you do an afternoon drive in Jacksonville, Florida. And I was like, it's 100,000 water. They're number 3 in the market. And I was like, wow.
Wow.
And I kind of kicked it around with my wife, I was like, and they pay this. And she was just like, yeah, but we'd have to move there. I was just like, that was it. It's like, all right, cool. I'll let him know I'm not gonna do it.
Yep.
But I don't regret it. I mean,
sure.
But it was like, man, that would have been so much fun. But would it have been? It would have been. I don't know.
You don't know. You don't know what would have happened. Right? You just don't. You don't. Like I said, I can go back to when I was supposed to go to college and how different things might have been had I done that.
Sure.
But who knows the butterfly effect? Who knows what else we brought with it, right? There could have been a consequence to that as well that I'm not aware of. And all of a sudden, I might not even be here because I decided to go to college, right? So you just never know.
Right, exactly. It's like, well, if I hadn't married my first wife, I wouldn't have my son. Because there's times when you're like, man, no, I don't regret that because I got him, So there you go. But that's I went off on a deep end there, didn't I? Sorry. So it does.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Real life is fun too. Can be. So I guess with that said about in the community, I just kind of want to touch on a little bit. I mean, because gaming when we were younger, and I can say we were younger now. There you go. It's like it's so much different than it is now. I mean, it's it was like you said, one-on-one Pong in the or the arcade or at home on a home system, playing the 8-bit and praying somebody doesn't bump your Nintendo NES system to where a cartridge pops out and you lose all your saved data on Zelda, which happened twice. Anyway, before you beat it,
I'm hoping you get enough spit in the cartridge so that it actually connects.
Exactly. So there, those those kind of memories. But to where we are now, and then you think now what's coming on? People are talking, acquisition season and all that kind of stuff. Which it's not necessarily don't want to get into the acquisition
No,
season
no.
or speculation, but it's like
My favorite place to live, though.
It is. It is. Well, you can go to speculation town all you want to. We can go there because this will be recorded and live. And be like,
yeah, right.
Tom said that. There you go. So, but no, it's seriously. It's like, so what's your? I mean, what do you think about the way gaming is going now?
Well, as you probably know, my tagline is it's the golden age of gaming, right?
I
I tell everybody that, and some people have said I need to change it to platinum at this point, the way that things are looking, and maybe they're right about that. But I still like golden age just because that's something that everybody knows, and I believe it's true, right? So there's a lot going on in this industry. There's going to be a lot of change as we've seen now, even with today's news as well. With Xbox, Microsoft actually, pretty much confirming that Call of Duty is going to stay multi-plat, which, and after last week's news of, Sony spending $3.6 billion to keep Destiny multi-plat, right? So things are changing, and I think it's all for the better. Again, I have a very hard time being pessimistic, even though I've been through all the steps of video games, and I've been back in the day when video games weren't popular. When it was, you were picked on, you were bullied for saying you played video games, right?
Yeah.
To this point where it's so mainstream now that there's a lot of good that comes from being mainstream, and there's a lot of bad on both sides, because the more people you invite into something, the greater chance you're going to have some clowns, right? And that's what happens, right? So you do get that as well. However, speaking of the industry as a whole, right now there's more money, more talent, more content, more of us gamers than ever in history. And we're seeing that reflected in what we're getting back right now. Game Pass is one of those things that could not have happened in the past. It would not be sustainable in the past, but it's sustainable now. All those kind of things are leading up to this point. So if you're asking me how I see this going, or you're asking me just currently, I'm excited. I'm off the charts, hyped for everything that's going on. I am living a dream right now. Again, you go back to my kid's self and tell me, by the way, someday, Pong, you're going to be able to flip on your console, and your parents are only going to be paying $10 a month. And you're going to have access to 400 plus games that you can play at any time you want to. Never would have believed you. Never would have thought about that was even a possibility. None of it, right? So for me, and again, I think for a lot of us older gamers, especially since we've been through all this, to see this time right now is truly something to sit back and appreciate. And I do every day. And I think it's absolutely incredible with how, a company like Xbox, near the brink of death, in a lot of ways of their own accord, has turned it around and actually are now leading the way forward to the future. Now, we can have discussions on the all digital. We can have discussions on whether or not that's good. We can have discussions on ownership. We can have discussions on all these different topics that come along with where the future seems to be going. But at the end of the day, the point being is that right now, if you're a gamer, if you have any interest in games, there is more accessibility. There are less paywalls to get in as far as what you have to invest to get to play games than ever before. This hobby is expensive. Okay, I'm a budget gamer. I'm a budget gamer. Even at this age, I'm a budget gamer. I don't get to go out and buy every single game that I want to. I don't. I can't. So I still have to watch my money, and that's where a lot of people are, especially over the past 2 years and what's happened. A lot of people are in tough spots. Look, that in the past would have meant that you could not play very, very many games at all. But right now, with the way that everything's moving, with the direction that Xbox has been pushing this whole industry for about since about 2018, that's all changing now. And now people can simply pick up their phone and have access to a lot of the same games that we play on console. Now, is it going to be the same quality? No, it's not. As of this point, technology is getting there, but it's not there yet. But just the thought that I can pick up my smartphone, click open an app, and be able to play Gears of War 5 on my phone right now.
Yeah.
That's insane. That is, from where we were just 10 years, that's insanity. Okay.
Yeah.
They started talking about that stuff until you see it in action, until it's actually in your hands. You just don't get it. How incredible that is that they've gotten to this point. Again, there was just a decade ago, movie streaming were not high definition. Now we get 4K streaming with HDR and all the bells and whistles. And if you have a good connection, honestly, you can't tell the difference between a 4K Blu-ray and a 4K stream.
You're
So
right.
that stuff to me is just is what gets me so excited because I can see the future. I don't have a problem with the future. I think I don't know for you, Dave. I've just gotten to the point. As you get older, there's a lot of things you realize. A lot of things, at least we all hope we do. There's a lot of things that come to fruition and thoughts that changes how you perceive things. And for
Hmm.
me, like I'm passionate, obviously, about the gaming industry. Otherwise, I wouldn't do what I do and how much I play. But if at the
Right.
end of the day, the gaming industry ever goes in a direction I don't want it to, the
Right.
gaming industry ever gets to the point where I'm like, nah, you guys ain't about us anymore. You guys are doing your own
Hmm.
thing. I'm not interested. I'll walk away. I don't
Yeah.
have a problem with that. I know a lot of people like, oh my God, I don't ever want to get to that point. I understand that fear. I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't fear change the way I used to outside of my real life and things that'll affect my family. I don't fear that
Right.
change, right? Because I'll just walk away from it and say, hey, it's not for me anymore. That's cool. It's gone in a different direction. Enjoy. Everybody who enjoys it, go do it. But right now, again, I don't like to think about the all the FUD that people like to put out there that, oh, this is gonna be the collapse of the industry. The industry's gonna die off. My Xbox is gonna kill it. You can't do this. I don't like to think about that stuff. I like to think about
Right.
the alternate route that happens, that we get to an even better place one day. We get to a
Yep.
better place where I can pop on my TV, I can pop on my phone. I don't even need a console per se to play, but I
Yep.
just go to one spot. What Satya is talking about, the meta that they talk about. Now, the meta
Yeah.
means different things to different people, but what
Right.
Satya is talking about, where I just go to one place and all the entertainment content that I've ever purchased, music, movies, games, it doesn't matter what it is, are all in one location.
Yep.
I don't, even though I may be purchasing from separate ecosystems, I
Hmm.
access it all through one point.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty that I see down the road, that no matter where I'm at, technology is going to catch up to the point where we may not even need consoles. That might be 20 years from now. That might be 10 years from now. We don't
Right.
know. Quantum computing is coming, and then all bets are off. Okay. So that's coming.
Exactly.
That's coming, and that's going to change everything. So we'll wait until that point. But right now, that's the future that I see. So I'm enjoying this whole ride that we've got going on right now. All the changes. Again, humans don't like change. I get it. But at the end of the day, right now, we're benefiting. We are benefiting from a highly competitive, highly money infused industry. The hottest
Yeah.
industry in the world right now is what I've been
Biggest.
saying lately. It is. It
Hmm.
is. It's the biggest entertainment industry, but I would say this is the hottest industry overall. The
Right.
pandemic actually helped this industry, which is an awful thing to think about. That such whatever,
Right.
badness, tragedy, all of it could actually makes business good, because at the end of the day, this is still a business, but it did. And
Right.
it's one of the few industries that they can say that on. But I love where it's going. I'm excited for the future. I'm excited for how healthy everybody is right now. Yeah,
Hmm.
that can change on a dime. There could be a
Right.
mistake made tomorrow that erases all the goodwill, and all of a sudden stuff doesn't looking as good. They could come out and say Game Pass is $50 a month tomorrow, right? And we'd be all like,
Ooh.
no, thank you. Like,
Yeah.
it's a great value, but it ain't that value, right? But
Right.
where it's going, who we have in leadership right now, across the board, Bowser, Jim Ryan. I know you can have your opinions on Jim Ryan. He's a businessman, though. He knows his
Right.
stuff. He knows his numbers. He sees where it's going. Sony is making that turn. And with Phil, again, this industry has never been stronger, never been healthier, and I'm happy for it. So I'm just kicking back and reaping in all the rewards
Exactly.
for it. Yep.
Exactly. Well, amen is what I got to say
Yeah.
on that
Yeah.
sermon. Because no, really, it's like you said, it's. But there was one thing that you said, just a different perspective. That you said that with the pandemic,
Mhm.
it's like, yes, it got a lot of people to get into gaming, and it's like, oh, it's kind of it's sad that it had to be the pandemic that did it. But then you could look at it from a different way and say, well, at least there was gaming there to help people through
Correct.
what's there. I mean, there's a lot of people, and I've unfortunately known a few, that didn't make it through, for whatever reason, whether it be the pandemic, or you know, or
The emotional stuff that comes with it. Unfortunately.
exactly not being able to work through
Right.
the loneliness that can be out there. but where some of the gaming and the community, like you talked about, and the multiplayer playing together is like, there's somebody I can talk to. There's somebody there and talk. You live
Yep.
another part of the state, than where I do. I'm sure you live in a different town than Mav does, or Steel Rain,
Oh, yeah.
all over
Yeah.
the country, or Wandering Dutch,
Yep. Yeah.
different country
Across the world.
altogether,
Yeah. Yeah.
or
Yep.
the Mag Canada,
Yep. Yep.
it's like, but the thing is, the little Twitch, hey, or tweet, say, hey, what are you doing?
Yep.
Let's play a game, or something, or text or something as you get to know somebody better, and then there you go. Then
Yep.
you have friends. When sometimes it's not so easy to get out and communicate with other people.
Yeah, the human interaction is a huge part of it, and you're absolutely correct.
Exactly.
I do recognize that gaming, again, why it happened the way it did is because
Right.
gaming
No.
was
Yeah.
but gaming was that outlet, right? That
Yes.
people were
Yep.
missing, and people realized it, right? And so, yeah, no, you are 100% correct.
It's nice that it could kind of necessarily fill the void, but could at least be a comfort to some people that that maybe were like, if they didn't have gaming now, they're like, oh, gaming's gotten big. But if you didn't have it, I mean, trust me, when I'm like, the Animal Crossing couldn't come out at a better time. That's all I'm saying.
Obviously,
Oh my gosh.
Nintendo hit it out of the park with that one for sure.
I quick story. I played, my daughter Animal Crossing, my son Animal Crossing. I play Animal Crossing. We both have our own systems, and then we're like, the light came out, and I'm like, I need that too. So I had had both. We all had both, and my wife's sitting there watching us play and stuff. And then there was one day she's like, "So what are you doing here? And what's this doing?" And Sue showed her, and like a month later of her watching us play, and she's like, "So I want you to get me a copy of the game and the system." Okay. She's like,
Okay.
"Can you get it tomorrow?" Okay. So GameStop, pick the mask, pick it up, crank it back up. She played through the whole thing, got her all her levels up and stuff. So and she's a casual gamer. She doesn't like the 3D games, make her nauseous. So she's Donkey Kong was her biggest game ever. Was Donkey Kong Country, and she loved all those. Yeah. But being able to, and she saw how we were enjoying it, and they got her. She's like, "Ooh, that looks like fun," because she likes the little sim games and she, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's cost me some money, but it was okay because she enjoyed it. She had an outlet and she played it. So it's awesome. It's nice that that there was something for everybody, pretty much, because some people are, I guess. The only, downside, or not downside, but maybe the not the dark side either. But in the community there are, I mean, I own a PlayStation 5. I own an Xbox Series X. I didn't have the money to get both systems, and when they came out with this, before it released, they said it was all access. Yeah, and I'm like, so I went to the missus, and
Yep, of course,
payment, we could do that. She's like, all right, then you can get both. Nice. Christmas, nice. Yay!
Congratulations!
So, yeah, well, thank you. But I honestly, I heard of Game Pass, and I knew kind of what it was about. But when I bought it and it was included, as soon as you turn the system on, the thing pops up, prompts you to like, welcome to Game Pass. I'm like, oh, cool. It was embedded in the system that I bought. So I was like, cool. Clicked it, then and I'm like, I cannot live without it now.
Right. Of course.
No way, And man, I'm Game Pass for life. Unless they change something dramatically to where it's not available or something. Right. I'm there. That's part of my, got the electric bill, you got the phone bill, Game Pass.
that's just the way it is. And that's something that Xbox did a tremendous job with. Like they didn't plan for the pandemic to happen, but they positioned themselves with all the prior work and what they had laid out to take full advantage of it in the best way possible, to give more people opportunities, whether it was the Series S at a cheaper price, or whether, like you, going through their all access program and being able to make that monthly payment versus having to fork out big dollars out of the gate, right? They've done a great job with that. And so that's where a lot of their success is coming from now. And without them, a lot of people might be without gaming right now, or when maybe on the old console still, which is fine. The old generation is fine, but a lot of people got to jump in. No matter what the situation was, because of what Xbox was doing out there. So that's impressive. Yeah, no, the community part, though, like you said, there's no replacing that. Not even just gaming, but here on YouTube. You know, my wife's not a gamer at all. She's a complete opposite. She doesn't want nothing to do with them, right? So she she during the pandemic jumped in and found the true crime community on YouTube. And she's deep into true crime, right? And helping solve cases and doing, but she's met people all over the world through that as well, right? And so like you were saying, that's the bright spot in all this, that thank God, you know, we curse this technology a lot, and we can have discussions about what social media and all the rest has done to society. But at the end of the day, the other bright spot, which I always talk about with this community and our examples here, is that without this technology, this wouldn't be possible. And there's a lot of good that comes out of this, because I have memories and friends that I will take to my grave with me that I never would have before.
Right.
If we're gonna all look back at this time period at some point and say, "Ah, man, what a terrible time," blah blah blah. But some of us who found communities like this, made new friends, you know, lifelong friends that we'll probably have forever, can sit back and say, yeah, it was awful. It was terrible. Like, I'd never want to go through that again. But at the end of the day, I had something really great come out of it. And that you can't replace no matter what.
You can't. I tell you, Pong, we could probably talk for a long time to go. We'll go. I'm free if you are. Don't worry about me. I am free. We'll start. Not wrapping up, but we'll start. We'll start getting some questions here to kind of. Well, all right.
We've gotten deep.
I know. Maybe I'm getting ready to open another. Maybe I get ready to open another can of worms. So because I haven't heard your opinion on this, I'm kind of interested on this one. Shoot. So because you weren't on the I was on Boom Show, and it was one of his subjects was Adam Con something. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, of course. Me and Steele went on a rant for an hour.
There you go. Yeah. What is his last name? I mean, besides Con Man. Anyway.
I don't know. I just call him Adam, and I just leave it at that because everybody knows what we're talking about.
There you go. So just, I mean, we won't necessarily go on a 2-hour rant, but so I mean, just
can't promise you. Can't promise you anything, Dave.
There you go. No, that's fine. That's fine.
I'll keep it. I know how to cut things.
But I mean, just but kind of your wow, some of his stuff, and he even slammed on, you know, the value of the availability of all access, because it was bad for the industry and they're giving things away to destroy the community. I'm like, I'm paying for what I'm getting, and here's the receipt and 24. It's just to me, he was being that way just to make people mad. I mean, and he did that. He made people mad, and I'm sure he got a lot of views that he didn't deserve. But anyway, what's your opinion on that?
Okay, look. First things first. Everybody, no. This is fine. Again, Steele and I, we were going to make it a short segment, and it turned into an hour-long rant between the two of us. So that started off last Saturday's show. So no, there's a couple things to consider here. Number one, part of it, of course, is to promote himself. That's what he does. He's a comedian. He's got some jobs coming up that obviously it helps to get this notoriety out there. Again, there's no bad press. Okay, that you don't get bad. If it's bad press, it doesn't matter for entertainer. That helps you in most ways. Again, examples not, but so there's no doubt that he picked this moment to do this. He was very fortunate in that aspect, that he had a story like this kind of break where he could do this. He's obviously PlayStation biased, which there's nothing wrong with that. He plays PlayStation and PC. There's nothing wrong with that inherently. But he does come from that side of things, does not look at Xbox in any kind of, I went through some of his tweets in his past, and there is nothing positive about Xbox in there. He wasn't necessarily bashing Xbox, as a
Right.
fanboy, but he was not saying anything positive. It was always PlayStation or PC stuff that I saw. I
Right.
could be mistaken, but that's what I saw when I was scrolling through his stuff. Also, he had lost a previous position due to a merger. Okay,
Hmm.
so now he has experienced the awfulness that can come along in some industries with mergers and acquisitions.
Yep.
So there is a lot there that is emotional for him. And he was obviously wrapped up in his emotions going on this rant.
Yep.
Whether or not he believes all of it, whether or not some of it is intellectually dishonest or willfully ignorant because he's chosen not to research some of this stuff.
Right.
Again, we can't speak on that. We'll never know the true hearts of men. But overall, his presentation was completely as an emotional fanboy. It was completely off the charts, off the rails, throwing all that FUD that we hear a lot of, the fear unknown and obviously disaster or whatever you want to call it at that point.
Right.
And again, change is hard for people. Again, I understand it. Humans hate change, and no matter what, even in something as ridiculous as gaming, again, for me, it's not that big a deal because I've put into perspective what gaming means. It's fantastic. It's a passionate hobby of mine, but at the end of the day, it's not going to shape my real life if
Right.
something changes in it. I'm going to go on, right? That's not, I'm not
Mhm.
going to collapse and keel over if I can't game anymore. If the internet crashed tomorrow, okay, I'll go back to reading books on a full-time basis like I used to. All right, whatever. But for him, obviously his identity, if he's being honest, is wrapped up in the PlayStation in a lot of ways. And most of his points, everybody's kind of hit on and really broken down and explained why they're all incorrect. The idea that something like Game Pass, which is an option, it is not
Right.
forced upon any of us. If you want to buy your games, you can buy your games. You can buy all the games you want to. The fact that he believes that Xbox is going to somehow undercut Sony and Nintendo especially is bulletproof. It does not matter what anybody else in the industry does. It doesn't matter what happens. Nintendo will be here doing what they do because their fan base is solid. I would say
Agreed.
Sony's fan base is a close second in a lot of ways. Now, not all 120 million, 130 million out there. There's a
Right.
large percentage of casual, what we, the Madden COD players in that
Mhm.
group, but they really do and have built a fanatical fan base that defends everything they do. They could always wind up being like Nintendo in a lot of ways at worst case scenario. Okay. But the fact that he believes that Xbox is going to be the only one doing what they're doing, that he ignores what Sony's done all these years with their money bags being dropped off for timed exclusivity, permanent exclusivity that has taken away from the Xbox community.
Yep.
The fact that he ignores all that shows exactly what mindset he is in. Again, I found his rant. Again, you could poke holes in every single thing that he was saying. He said he went back to the Colin Moriarty thing. Remember, Colin Moriarty had the same statements: bad for the devs, bad for the consumer, bad for everything in gaming, right? That's false.
Yep.
It's been proven to be false, that this
Yep.
model is not bad for anybody.
You
And
can cuss if you want to.
no, that's okay. I'm pretty good. Steel and I get a little loose, but not really. I don't do it much on podcasts. Again, I do it when I have streaming. You'll hear me be a pirate. When I'm gaming, I'm a pirate.
That's
But
funny.
here I try to keep it to a minimum.
That's cool.
But yeah, no, it is again, the fact that he believes that this is going to somehow destroy the industry at the end of the day. And he doesn't take into effect that all the good that we've seen come out of acquisitions from specifically the people he was attacking. Look, Xbox, Microsoft, back last gen, in the beginning, yeah, you could say that they were closing studios down. They were doing all this kind of craziness. Ever since then, since Phil's taken over and they've taken on this new philosophy, they've acquired what, 17, 18 studios at this point, not counting Activision Blizzard. The fact that they've done that, and each one of those studios has actually been growing since day one when they got underneath this umbrella. The fact that you've had people come out like Tim Schafer, one of the greatest creatives this industry has ever seen, and one of the most artistic studios this industry has ever seen, does not do the mainstream games, does not do the AAA blockbusters, comes out with individual games that are completely different from what we normally play. both in play style, in characters, in writing, all of that kind of stuff. It's not a popular, again, I say that lightly. It's not popular. I'm talking about like a Call of Duty or a Madden.
Right.
For him to come out from a studio like that and to praise Xbox for how easy it's been transition wise for him to be underneath and how much pressure it has taken off of him and his team, and that he was be able to take Psychonauts 2 and to put in all the bosses that they wanted to that would not have been there without Xbox because they didn't have the money to do that. All of these great things that are being said, and you can go down the list, Obsidian, In Exile, all of them have come out and said something fantastic about being underneath the Xbox umbrella. To just ignore all of that, again, either you're intellectually dishonest and you know about it, but you're not going to bring it up because it destroys all your points, or you're willfully ignorant. And that's just on the dev side, right? That's just on the dev side. And for him to say that it's bad for us, look, anything can be nefarious. Any company can flip a switch and all of a sudden things are really bad for the customer. But Xbox, the new Xbox, the Xbox that we have now, there is no sign of that. And if you think that they're going to turn around and kill off goodwill when they're trying to reach 2 to 3 billion people in the world, you're nuts. That would go against all their goals. That would kill all their momentum. They know that. They're not dumb. Again, that's not what's going to happen here. Sure. Can I say absolutely 100%? No, of course not. I mean, God, Phil could leave tomorrow. They could put somebody crazy like Donnie D back in there and we could have a mess all over again. Right. But
TV.
Right. Exactly. But the point being is that to sit here and talk about this, like this dystopian future that you see for the video game industry, when there is multiple branching paths. And I'm not saying we're going to wind up in the greatest utopia of all time. Again, I like to think so. I like to think that we're going to get to a point. But again, this is business. Things happen. Money's got to be made. And otherwise, we don't have this industry. So, decisions could be made that kind of move us around from the utopia. I get that. But at the end of the day, to think that only this leads to this dystopian wasteland of video gaming where all the industry is completely decimated, even though right now there's more people than there ever have been in gaming ever from a development standpoint. There is like something crazy number, like 2,800 different companies out there or more that are doing video games right now. There's like almost 2 million people in Look, to wipe all that out and say that we're just going to have this wasteland left and it's going to be this shining green X tower of Microsoft and we're all going to be prostrating ourselves before them, just begging for one little scrap of game as they charge us $100 a month. That's not how this is going to work. None of this is going to work that way. So that's really where I'm at with it. Again, he falls in line with a lot of the circus, what I call the circus in this community, the clown show that's out there that's just simply, for whatever reason, can't stand Microsoft and Xbox, or simply has their egos wrapped up into owning a PlayStation so much that it's part of who they are and they just can't let go of it and they can't see the positive. Again, I'm an energy guy, so I try to stay away from the negative. There are times where you have to look at the negative and really have to, yeah, of course there is.
Yeah.
But for the most part, right now, with where we sit today, with the examples of what we have since Microsoft created this new philosophy, there is no reason to think that dystopian future is the way that it's going to wind up happening. There is no reason. There's none whatsoever. Now you can say, I just don't ever want it to get to the point where I can't buy my games. We could talk about that because there is an all digital future coming, and we could talk about whether or not at that point we just don't have the option, kind of like Spotify. You can't buy music off Spotify.
Yeah.
You can't, you're just renting that service. That's all you're doing. You're renting monthly to listen. Could we get to that point? Sure, we could. There's a lot of reasons why that would happen too, from a business standpoint. We can talk about that. But to think that the video game industry is going to be destroyed by what Microsoft is doing right now, which is leading the way to the way that tech was going anyway. And somebody has to be a leader, but just because it's Xbox leading the way and it's not Sony making these moves,
right?
Somehow now, oh God, we're down the evil path. Oh God, this is it. No. That's not going to
Yeah.
happen. That's not going to happen. Phil's talked about it. He needs a healthy Sony. He needs a healthy Nintendo. He trusts those two. He does not trust the Amazons. He does not trust the Tencents. He does not trust the Googles, Facebooks, you name it. He does not trust anybody else in the tech world to come into this industry and treat it right. He trusts Sony and Nintendo. He is going to keep them healthy as long as he possibly can. It's up to them to keep making the right decisions. They have to follow. But Phil's going to make sure that they're okay. And we've seen that again. I have a theory that there has been some high-level talks, high-level Zoom meetings with just a couple people on there talking about the outside threats coming into this industry and really causing destruction versus these three really banding. Again, they only could do so much. You get into a lot of, antitrust stuff if you really come out and do this. But they can do what they can do to insulate the industry from those outside threats and make sure that all of each other are good and then they continue to be healthy and that this industry continues to grow in the right way. And I think that's what's happening right now.
Oh, I definitely agree with your theory 100% because I mean it makes sense. And like you said, they definitely, they can only be so buddy. But I mean, you think, a couple blocks away, there's Nintendo, their office, let's go to lunch.
Correct.
And a little bit further down the road, there's Mr. Steam. I got to drawing a blank. Can't think of his name. Oh my gosh, what is his name?
Oh, you're talking about Gabe, Uncle Gabe.
Gabe. Yep. So they've had several calls and conversations and stuff. So I think Phil gets it. And that really is the coolest thing. Obviously, to heap more praise on Phil, but I mean to be, to really, if you could come down and you watch that documentary, I'm sure you did. It was fantastic, and Phil, I mean, if Phil wasn't there, we wouldn't be having this conversation today. There'd be a lot of things that just wouldn't. I mean, Xbox could have been completely gone,
Could have been a publisher. They could have done a lot of different things, but you're absolutely right. And Phil hates the attention. Phil doesn't like to take the credit for it.
Right.
But like I said, if I was to talk to Phil and he started deflecting, I say, but Phil, I understand you have a great team behind you, but you built that team. Yep. You got that team to believe in your philosophy. Everybody that you've put into place since that point has meant your success now. So guess what? It still comes back to you because you're a freaking ridiculously good leader and you're a gamer at heart, right?
Exactly.
That you can't take that away from him. And he tries to take it away from himself. And I would never let him because again, it comes always back to him. So.
Yeah. Agreed. Pong, this has been awesome, man. This has been fun, huh? Not too bad.
Absolutely.
Not too bad. There you go.
Man, you love talking. Man, we're having a good time.
Yay.
Your audience is probably going to be like, holy cow, they got deep sometimes. What's going on here? I thought this was
all right.
I thought this was an interview about gaming.
gaming life. It's all good. It's all good. So I do have two final questions I'm going to throw at you because I like to kind of wrap back up to gaming when we get a little astray, which is good. I think it's good. Fantastic interview. Thank you so much for being here. I can't thank you enough. But let's get to some quick questions. These are not like Fonzarelli's questions. His are tough.
Thank God. I was so. At least I got some right. Like the guess on Max for Streets of Rage, that was a total get. The name popped in my head, and I wasn't gonna say it. And I was like, because I was trying to think of the girl, and I forgot her name again because again, that's how my brain works now. But Max popped in my head, and that's why I threw it out there. But I was lucky. Let's put it that way.
It was a great interview. It was a great one.
Yeah.
So let's see. What is your favorite game franchise now currently? Like what's
this awful, man?
It can be multiples if you need to. I'm not gonna pin you down. But if
favorite game franchise, I will. It's near impossible for me to just pick one. I would have to say Elder Scrolls if I had to.
Yeah.
Put it down. Elder Scrolls is again Todd Howard, God Howard, praise be his name. He's just he's special. Him and his A team just do incredible things. Starfield is like I've already got my days off for Starfield. So
nice.
I'm ready. But no, I just think Elder Scrolls between Morrowind is fantastic, and I want them to actually go remake it because it deserves it. But it is, it's hasn't aged well. Okay, it's Morrowind. It's a long time ago. That was my first experience with Elder Scrolls. But between Oblivion and Skyrim, Skyrim, you're talking about, 1,000+ hours. It's something I can go back to and fall in love with all over again. They're special games. So I would have to say Elder Scrolls. There's a lot of other, there's the Splinter Cells. There are all those kind of things in there as well. BioShock, Mass Effect. Yeah, exactly. BioShock, Mass Effect, two of the best trilogies of all time, probably the two best trilogies of all time.
Fantastic. Yes. Yeah. And so my last question for you, and I have a feeling you might have already kind of revealed some of your answer, but we'll see. So what game are you looking forward to the most that's not out yet? Wonder what it could be.
It's Starfield 100%. There is nothing else this year. Besides Star, I mean, there is. There's so much this year. We're gonna have a great time, but Starfield is what I'm focused on. It's going to be fantastic. Tim Dog was talking on RDX on Tuesday night, and last night. And he said that he's talked to people who would be in the position to play the game. And they said that it is going to be everything you think it is and more. It is as big as you think it is. And everybody in there is excited for it. So I am hyped. This is going to be, this is it. God Howard, man, he's giving us his baby after, thinking about it for 25+ years. He's had this idea on his brain. So I can't wait to see what's coming out.
And there was one quote that he made. Of course, I'm not going to get the quote right, but he talked about how the Elder Scrolls series, there's always that moment in the game when you're
the wow moment,
the wow moment, right?
Yep.
But this one has two.
Yep.
I mean, it's like
we've guessed what it
speculated,
is. We've speculated what it is. So, obviously the first time the first time you walk out to your spaceship on whatever planet it is that you start on, and then the second one will probably be when you hit space and you actually leave the atmosphere and you realize how big this universe is that he's created and his team has created. I can't wait. You give me a sci-fi Todd Howard game like Elder Scrolls Skyrim in space, as he described it. Somebody else said Han Solo simulator. Look, I'm done. I got my days off. I'm ready. We're gonna do this. This is gonna be
that sounds awesome. You gonna be streaming that too? Because
I don't know if I get hooked up by then. Again, see, that's the whole thing with not ever thinking about doing this. I'm not a PC guy, so I don't even own a PC. I'm doing this off my Surface Pro 4. So I've got to invest in a PC. I want to make videos. I want to create my own channel as well. Steele and I want to do more for Living Split Screen.
Sure.
But I got to invest. And again, pandemic has not been good to us in the financial sectors. So therefore,
I'm with you.
I'm having a hard time trying to figure out how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to try to do it. I am working on it behind the scenes because I would like to get into it. I'd love to start streaming. Bro, you can tell. I mean, I play games all the time anyways. I would pop on and stream to Twitch and talk to people. Why not? It'd be a fun time.
Heck yeah. Well, hopefully that does come to fruition for you, man. I would watch. I'd be there with you, man.
I appreciate it.
What's up, dude? What's up, bro?
I appreciate it.
Oh, dude, I appreciate you. And I'd like you to, if you get a chance here, to talk about your social media or people can the shows that you're on and everything like that. And then if you don't mind, when after you've done given your social media, and give us your little tagline, which I really
of course
is a good one for today, man.
It comes out naturally at this point. I've been doing it for so long now. And there's little different inflections here and there that I come up with, but otherwise it's the same. So yeah, here's my famous long outro for anybody who doesn't know.
Let's do it.
I'm famous for this on podcast. Fonzarelli kind of gave a sigh, but he was cool with it.
Because, he did. It was so funny.
Well, I did it on RDX when I got to jump into RDX, and it caught them all off because a lot of those guys hadn't seen me, so they didn't realize how many shows I was on. Yeah, and they all are very short. Let's get out of here. We're done. We're gonna eat, play games. We're not doing this. Nope. And I do my spiel every time, and they were like, dealer was like, "Bro, are you serious right now?"
Anyway, you got 10 minutes. Go. No,
exactly. Yeah, it's about what it is. Pong Soul. Cool. You guys can find me on Xbox, Twitter. You know the drills there. Tomorrow night, Thursday. Let's just start the week because I don't know when you're going to air this. So Tuesdays starts my week. Xbox Factor Podcast, Double Barrel Gaming, Mr. Boomstick, Archimedes. We've got Mr. Joanna Dark, Mav when he's available. 3-Bit seat is dusty and full of cobwebs because that man is so busy. 3-Bit, come back and join us every once in a while, but your seat is still saved. But that is Xbox Factor Podcast, Tuesdays, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. All the Xbox goodness you love and come to expect from Mr. Boomstick. So be there. And then Thursdays is PM in the PM, Pong and Mav in the PM. Just a two-man show, although we're starting to get some guests. We got Boom coming up tomorrow, actually, that people will hopefully be tuning into and watching. And we had Colt Eastwood a couple weeks ago. But PM in the PM, that's over on Fun Speculations channel. Normally a two-man show where we deep dive 1, 2, maybe 3 topics. Mav and I can talk all night long. So just buckle up and be ready. Normally it's about 2.5, 3 hours, but be there. It's a great time. 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time. Friday nights back on Fun Speculations channel with Xbox Ultimate, the Great 8. Depending on what real life's got going on. Normally we're short of 8, but Mav always has guests as well. That show gets crazy. That show is wild. That show is off the charts. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what topic. We could talk about food for 25 minutes on our outros like we did just a couple of weeks ago. You never know what's going to happen. So join us on Xbox Ultimate Friday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. Saturday mornings is Living Split Screen. Split Screen is all one word when you look it up. That's my brother from another Steel, Rain, and I. We get you up and ready for your weekend. You think I am full of energy? Steel has got it in double. Okay. So just come on in, set your alarms. You don't have to be awake. Okay. You can be doing chores, buckle up, 3+ hours. That's where we're at now. We don't even try to hide it anymore. Last week was over 4. So just come in, see us, Living Split Screen. And that starts at 9 p.m. or excuse me, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3 p.m. UK time. Be there for the live, raw, and uncut talk, as Steel likes to say, because we're going to talk about the entire industry. We're going to talk about the community. You're going to get at least one rant weekly from us in there. So just come on. It's a fun time. Just come listen. Bring us. We're on mission 1K this year. We're almost to 500 subs now. We want to hit 1K. Steel thinks we can do 2. We're going to need some help because we don't do other content. So that's always a problem. So bring a friend. Show them what we're about and see if they like it. That's Living Split Screen. And then Saturday nights is the Shop podcast over on PTK Blam's channel. Fuzzy Belvedere, myself, and usually a guest along with PTK. PTK is killing it with guests all the time. He knows everybody in this community. So come on in there. It's a great way to end your Saturday night. It's a chill show, but we have great discussions in there. It starts at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Central Time. Again, PTK Blam's channel. It's called The Shop. So drop on in on Saturday nights. And then, as always, you just never know where I'm going to be. I'm sure you're not going to air this tomorrow, but tomorrow I'm going to be on Archimedes Boxenberger's brand new podcast, World of Gaming. So he invited me on. If I can make it happen, I try to make it happen. So you never know where I'm going to pop up. But
and that's the thing too, is that you're even if you're on that show and this airs later, which it will, but they can always go back and watch it on demand.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Boxenberger and I are gonna have a great conversation. We got a lot to talk about after today. Woo, boy, we're gonna have a good time. But yeah, no, otherwise, as always, I like to tell everybody, people are dreaming about this now. It is the golden age of gaming. I can't stress that enough. Where we are at as gamers right today is the best place it has ever been, and you need to sit back and enjoy it. It is the golden age of gaming. Please get out there, play what you love what you play. Don't let anybody ever steal your hype or your excitement or your enjoyment of anything. I don't care if you're playing Candy Crush daily on your phone. Good for you. You are a gamer. Don't let people tell you you're not. Don't let people tell you shouldn't enjoy that game. Don't. It's for you. This is a hobby. It's personal. Yes, it can be social, but it's still personal at the end of the day. So please just have fun. Go enjoy it. And I'll talk to you all real soon. Thanks you for having me, Outbreak Dave. This was fantastic. Again, I love doing this, man. And again, I appreciate the invite. I just don't take it for granted. I just can't believe you even thought about bringing me on here. You've had Boom, you've had Mav. Bro, that's huge.
It's been an honor having you on, dude. I'm telling you that. You're a great guest. You're a great guy. And everybody needs to follow and watch all the shows that you're on because they're all good. And the one you do with Still Rain, the Living Split Screen, they need to go over to that channel. They need to subscribe to that channel. They need to hit the bell icon so they're notified every time there's a show. In case you wake up on Saturday and you forget. Ooh. But even then, if for some reason you miss it and you can listen later, it's on demand, and you can go through and check out these amazing subjects they've covered. And there's been times when I've gone back and watched an older episode because it's like, remember what they said about that, and it's like, oh yeah, because it's great, man. It's a lot of fun, and you definitely are a talent. You definitely for if it's a hobby, if it's for fun, if it's just an outlet, keep doing it because you're doing a great job, and this community really does benefit from you being a part of it. So Pong, thank you so much for being on today. I really appreciate it,
It
man.
was a blast,
Thank
man. It
you.
was a blast. Good people find good people, and you are one of them, sir. You
Thank
keep
you.
doing what you're doing because we need more people like you as well, sir. This, especially to fight against the circus and the clown show. So let's do
Amen.
it.
Thank you, brother. Preach on. All right. All right.
Yeah.
And you can find us at the outbreakpodcast.com by going to that website. You can actually click on all our links are there, all our social media, all that kind of stuff. Plus, we usually have show notes and different videos. We don't only just cover gaming, we also cover independent wrestling and a whole bunch of other crazy stuff.
Awesome.
Still, like I say, my biggest video to date is a wrestling video, 63,000 views, which is not
Dang.
bad. Yeah,
That's not
exactly.
bad
And
at
it was
all.
independent wrestling, local
Right.
show, filmed it for him, put it up, and then it's like,
That's awesome.
boom.
Boom.
So yeah, so that's
Sweet.
it's all in fun. But anyway, thanks again for being on, guys. Thanks again. Keep it locked on here. Make sure you subscribe to this. Hit the like button on this video because Pong deserves it. Thanks, guys.